Hey, what's up, La Familia, you crazy football-loving nutters? This is Ray Hudson, and you are luxuriating in listening to the Inter Miami podcast with the stupefyingly magnificent Jay and Alex, two lads who are as electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub. Stay tuned, because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be magisterial with an amplifier.
To the left, Pellegrini, inside, Pizarro Golazo! Pizarro Golazo! Here's the goal scorer, Morgan! And he's done it again! Lewis Morgan with his second of the match! Higuain will have the goal! He's framed the top 90! It's a sensational first goal for Gonzalo Higuain!
Oh, another week, another happy episode, man. We are on a roll right now. Talk about, I think was that last episode we were talking about the swings of the game, man. We started 0-5. We've won our last 3. It feels so good. We are in high spirits. Speaking of high, but happy holidays to anyone who's out there celebrating. We are recording this a little delayed on Wednesday night because we actually had a U.S. Open Cup game last night. So do apologize for the slight delay. But Than, how are we doing, my man?
I mean, we're doing well, my man. You know, I was starting to think Kem Poppy is going to be able to replace that entire intro for us by mid-season. I think we're just going to have a Leonardo Campana highlight open. It's going to be wonderful. But, you know, over here, 420, for those of you partaking, enjoy. If not, enjoy the day anyways. It's Wednesday. We're almost to the weekend. Just keeping those good vibes rolling, moving towards our next match. It's a great time to be Inter Miami fan.
It is. But I just love how, in 2022, culture seemingly like fully embraced the whole day of 420, and you see some funny stuff out there with companies marketing good stuff like that. So it is always fun, always some giggles on this day. But yeah, welcome to the Inter Miami podcast. I'm Jay Kington, joined by Mr. Than Harrington. Again, very very excited, man. We're on a roll and had a hell of a game on Saturday, late against Seattle, the team that is heading towards the CONCACAF Champions League final. But, that's a big focus of theirs. So we got a slightly softer side of them to start out, but we will not complain. We'll take our points where we can get them. But this was a good game, and this was the first matchup between Inter Miami in Seattle, and I know a lot of fans were looking forward to this game because Seattle has such an amazing history in this league and really a winning mentality and environment they've created over there. How are you getting ready for this match, man? I know this was late, so a lot of people were trying to just stay up.
Yeah, so I got Kennedy to bed. Lucy bailed out on me at like 9:30. Riley says, "Dad, I'm gonna stay up, watch the match with you. I'm gonna soldier on." 10:31, he's out. Yeah, I'm like, all right, fantastic. So Dad gets the couch and gets the room to by myself. But I'll tell you what, I was one of those supporters really looking forward to this Seattle match. Seattle always brings the noise when they're at home. Their fan base is one of the best. They have an amazing facility. So for us to be able to travel up there and play and get the full Seattle effect, including the weather, including the cold, it was nice to see the team respond in a positive manner to all of that. Because very easily they could have slipped up and said, "Oh, no, this is not Miami." They could have been, I think you said, falling out of the trees like iguanas on a cold day. Yeah. So, it was just an awesome day, and it was, I spent a lot of the day leading up to the match being nervous about it, to be honest, because Seattle, man, they sometimes they play hard and they'll punch you in the mouth, and sometimes you get a mixed bag. So
sometimes you just get lucky with the timing of the schedule, and of course them making it so far in the CONCACAF Champions League. But yeah, you mentioned traveling. I mean, this was the furthest road trip in IMCF history. If you recall, last year we did travel up to Portland, but Seattle is, I'm not exactly sure how many miles further, but it's just a little bit further.
Yeah, I don't have that on me. Okay. I wish I did.
You looked down. I thought you had that note.
Yeah, I'm not plugged into the supercomputer right now. I apologize. But yeah, two of the best teams in the league. I know that a lot of fans joke that generally the Western Conference is one out of the Pacific Northwest, and you have to be able to go up there and do what we did was pretty awesome.
It was, and they came in with a slightly different squad, but we also came in with a very short bench. Only 2 goalkeepers, but dealing with a multitude of injuries. Of course, I think the biggest storyline of this was this Higuain injury, and was he going to play kind of leading up to that? Turns out, he's that injury must be really, really deep muscle or deep feelings. I'm not really sure where it is more.
No, they left him back there to give 2 United legends a tour because David Beckham didn't want to waste the time giving him that tour himself. It was funny because they came out and said he's hurt, and then Cole and Diego Forlan are walking around the stadium, and he's relegated to the Blaise Matuidi ambassador role. So part of me wants to believe it's more of a case of my ankle hurt or my leg hurt. Now I'm kind of butt hurt, and I'm going to start pouting a little bit. But hey, whatever gets this team kicked up in the gear and keeps them winning, I honestly could care less.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. We had a lot of listeners that are Manx, that are Manchester United fans. There was that watch party fan event where Forlan and Cole went down to. So I know a lot of people went there and had quite a bit of fun. So shout out to all you guys. I know you're living in a world of pain with me right now as a Chelsea fan. So. We will keep it moving. But weather-wise, man, I mean, if you know anything about Seattle, one of the weird facts that I know about Seattle is that it's the suicide capital of the world. And a lot of people attribute that to the constant raining that is occurring in Seattle. I don't know why you're shaking my head. That is something real. Dude, that is a real thing.
We're vibing, we're cool, we're happy, and then you just... boom, and drop a sad bomb on us. What are you doing, man?
It's just a weird fact that I know. And, it was the very typical Seattle weather, man. The Pacific Northwest, it's just cold. It's rainy. It's windy. It's not like the refreshing 5 p.m. shower down here in South Florida, man. Those drops are feel like pins sometimes if the wind's blowing fast enough.
I mean, that's kind of like what I grew up in. So I looked at it, I was like, oh, it looks like a beautiful day out there. I'm okay with that. Obviously, I've told you 1,000 times I would trade all of that for South Florida weather. Yeah. But, I got to give hats off to La Familia for that game, because at one point I was sitting there watching the TV. I was like, this isn't the rainstorm anymore. It is a downpour. It is a torrential downpour. I thought, and kudos to Seattle. I thought for a hot minute they were going to have to postpone the game because of how hard and fast the rain was coming down. Mm-hmm. And, they said, nope, play on. And I also thought that was going to affect the team mentality a tad bit. But you know what? They held it together. They played well. And in that weather, one of the positive things we could take away from that was a solid backline play between Damian Lowe and Mabika. It would have been very easy for Lowe and Mabika to not be on the same page, dealing with the fast pace around them, having, the weather elements not in their favor, not something they've probably practiced in too much together. And they look like they've been playing together for years, honestly.
Yeah, that's one of the trends we've seen over the past few games is the defense is really starting to get much more cohesive, specifically the back line, which is obviously resulting in less conceded goals. I mean, I know we're looking at a pretty short sample size here, but at least we're trending what looks to be in a positive way up. But Yedlin, initially looked really sharp on his return home. He was one of the first ever homegrown signings in the MLS, so I'm sure this was just somewhat emotional for him. I do believe that he fully intends to finish out his career in Seattle after he leaves Inter Miami.
Yeah, he actually talked about it. We'll touch base a little bit, but I think one of the things that I felt as a father was that he was extremely proud to be able to go back home, show his daughter what he did, bring her back to the old stomping grounds and said, this is what dad did. And I don't know, I could just be over romanticizing it as a father, but I was like, that's pretty cool, to be able to take your kid anywhere you've been, like, even if you're just going back to your own hometown, even if it's a backwoods Kentucky town or or a small shanty upstate New York town, it's still like your own place. You know what I mean?
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Yeah, I am not crying.
Walk us through the first half here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it was odd. I was taken aback because I knew that Seattle was going to be subbing out a bunch of their squad, especially after a short turnaround for the NYCFC Champions League match there. Inter Miami was free flowing. They were attacking up predominantly the right-hand side. Robbie Taylor, I know we keep hammering him home, and I know a lot of folks are probably sick of us talking about him, but he looked sharp. He really looked sharp on the left-hand side. He was getting up an attack. He was tracking back. It almost looks like, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, it almost looks like we have a midfielder that can control the midfield. I don't know. And on top of that, all of our wingers were making, absolutely beautiful runs. They got in position. We fed them in, and it almost started to feel like it was going to be the same old Inter Miami story because we couldn't capitalize until the 40th minute. Jay?
Yeah, and what a goal that was, man. I was just like, honestly, I did not feel like we were going to score in the first half here. And then it happened. I was at Foxhounds. Everyone got really excited about that. And then, kind of that typical Inter Miami fashion, conceding goals very shortly after. So I was, happy to see us make it out of the first half without conceding any goals. But yeah, I mean, we were running wild. It was very attractive football. We were really dominant on the attacking down the right hand side. But actually, I mean, throughout the game is pretty split. It was 40% on the right hand side, 41% on the left side, and then 19% up the middle. So we're really starting to get into this system that we've discussed of really wanting to be able to play our wingers and have them be effective. And now that seems pretty committed to this 4-3-3, it's going to allow us to do that. And as those relationships continue to develop with the left backs and our wingers, whether that be Yedlin and Lassiter or Noah Allen or Gibbs, and you name it. You could have Robbie up there. Could have both Robbies up there, actually. I mean, as we have seen here in the Open Cup, or also Emerson. So I really like the freedom it's giving Phil to kind of play with the lineup and allow to recycle people in positions that I think that they're very effective in. So overall, I mean, I think really, really good job. We're finally seeing a team that is playing for each other. Everyone's trying to make runs, get into open spaces to alleviate the pressure. We're seeing more efficient passing. And just overall, it's a more aesthetically pleasing product and something that we can at least be proud of.
You know what it reminded me of, and maybe you'll disagree, but for me, it reminded me of the Premier League style football that you and I grew up with. Mm-hmm. We're punching it down the wing, not necessarily going through the midfield unless we need a quick pass, and that ball's coming in the box, and it's coming in fast, and you need somebody in there to deke and dump it. And I'm stoked that you and I called out that Campana's finally turning into the player you and I thought he would be. That Chicharito Cavani mix where he said he's going to poach. He's going to find a way to be in that spot. He's going to find a way to make something happen when we need it the most. He didn't score this game, but he was in the spot to release Yedlin down that right-hand side before the goal. So, he's starting to evolve. The team's starting to fight it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and we're also seeing the confidence of Robbie Robertson really rise again. I mean, to get up in a very, very awkward shot that he was able to not only to get on target, but in a in a deadly position in something that's going to convert the goal. So very, very impressed with him. And then we go into the second half, right? And then it's, well, maybe, in my head, I'm like, maybe we get lucky and score another one, but it's probably going to be something coming off a counterattack because I feel like we really have struggled so much in the first two seasons to kill off the games we've been in, to be defensively compact and defensively sound, to really finish games and get a win, get the result we want. And the second half, they were like, all right, like this was fun. we had kind of our, I don't know, 1A, 1B squad in, right? Because they wanted to rest a lot of their players. But you looked over at that bench, man, and they've got some studs, and they were all on the bench. So then you start to see the Rodon brothers come in. Then you see Rui Diaz come in, and then, man, things just started picking up for the Sounders, and it became really a siege on Nick Marsman and his men, because it felt like they were defending cross after cross or play after play, pass after pass. And yeah, we did have some counterattacks. You know, we did not convert any more goals, but the majority of that second half was backs against the wall, fighting for each other, clearing. Lowe and Mabika, they're both, you know, obviously Mabika's a giant, but Lowe's not a small guy by any measure either. And I mean, so many of these crossing balls able to head out or just make smart plays on. So really, really impressed at the way we finished the game.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, this is the first Inter-Miami game I can honestly tell you I had so much hope in my system that we were going to pull this out that I was actually watching between my fingers, with like my hands were up, like I have to. And like I had a belief we weren't going to do it. I'm sorry. I had a belief that they weren't going to do it and we were going to pull it out. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I will die on this hill. If Mabika wasn't out there, we concede a goal, because there's so many times he got ahead across, he cleared the ball. There were some times he got caught out, but that's youthful and experience. Mm-hmm. But he held the line. You know, like Game of Thrones, he held the door. He did not let them across, you know. And you know, we're fortunate that he has gotten up to speed as quickly as he is, because I don't think he would have been good for another season down at the USL, or I'm sorry, the MLS Next Pro level. I don't think he would have learned from that. He's learning trial by combat now, and he's succeeding for us, you know.
He is. I mean, we'll see, you know, how long this streak extends. We're going to talk about Atlanta here in a little bit. And, you know, there's a solid opportunity. We can go ahead and make this forward. But just, you know, statistically, just to what you were talking about, kind of that old, you know, EPL play up the wings, even though, you know, we were basically 80% of our attacks were coming from the wings, 67% of our shots were coming from the middle, with only 11% on the left wing and 22% on the right side. So we're using our speed as a weapon to our advantage, and then we're bringing this ball to the interior and looking for, you know, whether it be Campana or, you know, maybe if Robbie's crossing in, Lassiter coming up on the far post, or vice versa. But we're starting to see, like, our identity come about in what kind of attacking team we want to be, and we're starting to see results. And again, I mean, it's good. It's really good, because these 0-5 starts, or, you know, last season we had like an 11-game unbeaten streak, like a 6-game win streak, and then we just, you know, have a losing streak to really finish off the season. You know, mind you, one kind of off game against, you know, the Revs last year. But hey, this feels good. I want to enjoy this. I like this. This feeling's going to last till at least Sunday. You know, 1:00 is when the kickoff is. So be sure to enjoy this. We got, you know, Papa John's now 2 weeks in a row. Whoa. What? This is just amazing right here. I don't know if the Papa John special applies to the U.S. Open Cup win.
It actually did. The team confirmed it
nice.
This afternoon, I believe.
Nice. So, I mean, how fat do you want to get? How much of that special garlic sauce are you going to chug and, you know, plunge it down your throat with a cheese stick?
But let's be honest. Could you imagine the blowback if they wouldn't have put out a coupon for today?
Because, like, look, if you're like, what, you know, like a Seattle, because all these teams have the same kind of Papa John's discount. I'm sure Seattle, like, rarely eats the discounted Papa John's they get, because they're used to winning or drawing almost every game. But, like, you starve South Florida for 5 weeks of full priced pizza, and, like, once you pay 50% off, you can't even bring yourself to want to pay full price. You feel like you're getting robbed. And then we get back-to-back weeks, and now, but 2.5 weeks basically of free pizza. Man, what a time to be alive.
I mean, I'm living through you guys, because I see the code come through, and strangely enough, they won't let me put it in up here. So, yeah, we don't. I can't take advantage, but you know what? You eat that pizza.
Just find what the Philadelphia Union is, like what theirs is.
It's still too far, man. It's still too far away.
Can I make an admission? Chloe and Quinn wanted pizza one weekend, and like Inter Miami hadn't won. And so I definitely saw the fact that Orlando City won and used the Orlando City code to get half off. And I'm not sure if I'm proud that I did that and kind of used Orlando in that way, or if I'm sad that I did that, or ashamed that I did that, because maybe I'm supporting them in some way.
All right, everybody. Well, that's been the Inter Miami podcast. I'm Than Harrington, and thanks for showing. This is that we're done. Actually, I got to be honest with you. I applaud your savviness, because you're taking Orlando for a ride on that, and yeah, I like it. I
like to think I like to think I won that little exchange.
All right. Well, I mean, since we're already on the topic of positives and negatives, what would you say in terms of the Seattle game would be a positive and possibly one negative for you?
Positives, I'm just starting to see this team play more gracefully, play more of the beautiful game. Again, I'll reiterate Robbie's confidence coming back. I think all of us are very happy with Leonardo Campana, and then of course the back line continuing to improve. It's very positive signs. I hope we can see this continue to streak up. On the flip side of that, coming in with that depleted roster, right? We are battling a lot of injuries. We don't have our utility man, Breck Shea. We don't have Gibbs. Obviously, Higuain's injured, but I'm not sure if anyone's actually upset about anything like that. But I feel like we do have quality players, and we can rotate them on the wings. But I'm a little concerned as the season wears on, if we have enough depth of our bench of players that can make an impact. Because I think we have a lot of players who can kind of, be a Band-Aid and hold things together. But I would like to have other options throughout the midfield and throughout defense right now, because we're pretty shallow on the back line.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I think for myself, the positives, I mean, just to hit it briefly, would be Mabika. I mean, that's you can't ignore that. But it would also be the communication between the entire back line and Marsman. It was really sketchy. We don't need to rehash the bad occurrences between Calendar and the back line, Marsman and the back line, but they didn't have those for the most part. Yeah, there was a couple sketchy moments that were like, oh, okay, maybe they flipped off, but they didn't stay flipped off. It was, oh, my bad, I got it, and it didn't happen again. They're learning from their mistakes. The negative I want to touch on, and I know you're praising Lassiter for his speed, but man, shoot the ball. Mm-hmm. Stop dancing. You're not CR7. You're not Mo Salah. You're not Kai Havertz or whoever. Like you're just Lassiter.
Yeah,
shoot the ball.
He made
the ball off your foot.
A lot of mistakes for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I can overlook the mistakes if he puts one in, but like he's dancing in the box. We've got passes open. He has an angle for a shot. I don't care if he shoots and goes out for a corner. Shoot the ball. No, I think there was a break late in the game, and forgive me if I'm wrong. I could be mixing up this in the USL or the US Open game, but there in one of them there was a break, and I'm like, oh, here he goes. He's got it. And then it was like he turned his speed off, and then it's like he tried to play with the defender, and we ended up losing possession. Just shoot it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that like when he is making his runs, he's just looking to beat the defender. He'll slow down when he gets up close to in his case a lot of times the left back, and instead of trying to maybe just use his speed to get to a point to get across, and he seems to enjoy the one-on-ones, which if he becomes effective, then sure, I'm all for it. But something to keep an eye on, because I know I did see some people saying some harsh things, or that they want Emerson starting over him, but I still think Emerson has a while to go before he's ready to be a starter. But all in all, man, good things, got the win. We'll take the points where we can. Why don't you run us through Phil's postgame?
Yeah, so I mean, I could sit here and spew everything out Phil said, but it was a lot of just roundabout conversation of the entire post game. He was really proud of the effort the players put forward. He was stoked that there was a continuation of learning from the Revs game. They built on top of that, they were able to, as you alluded to, Jay, start to find their own identity and their groove. He really praised Mabika, Bryce Duke, who, I feel like we skimmed over, and I feel bad now because Bryce Duke had a hell of a game against Seattle. He also praised Campana for all of their efforts. He praised the coverage of crosses. And like you and I alluded to, he also said that he believes that he sees a partnership with Lowe and Mabika starting to form. The one thing that I didn't recognize that Phil did tactically was he actually brought Mo Adams out to spread the pitch out a little bit towards the end of the game. I didn't even recognize that. I kind of feel bad that I didn't even notice that, because they were trying to just gut us down the middle, and bringing Mo Adams out onto the field allowed that pitch to be spread out. It forced Seattle to get out of their current comfort zone, which, kudos to Phil. He saw it. Good for him. I don't know if I agree with him on this one, but he praised Gregory for getting back into form. I still don't know, man. I don't see it. Like, I know he's not playing terrible, but he's not playing like the pit bull we saw last year. The big thing to take away from this, if you're an Inter Miami fan, you have to take these two things away. He's praising all 18 players for fighting for each other and the badge on their chest. I think this is the first time in our club's history, our short history, we actually have a team that's fighting for the name on the front, not the name on the back, which is huge. It's absolutely huge. And then he piggybacked on that by saying that the result they took away from Seattle gave the entire organization a belief in what they're doing matters, and everything is starting to click. So all in all, whether it's with the young Heranitos down in the academy, it's the first team, it's the MLS Next Pro, it's the physios, it's whoever, all the way up to Hendo and Bex, the organization's starting to come together, and it's starting to gel, and that glue is finally starting to set. This is going to be a pivotal time for us. If we can continue to get results, it's going to only be better for the club in general in the long term.
I agree. I mean, these are pivotal times right here. Especially when we want to climb up the rankings, and we're still basically in the same spot we'd be if we lost the two MLS games. Just the way, as far as the layout is, but the fact that we are winning, if we get one more, it's going to put us right in around the probably lower half of the Eastern Conference. And if we can just somehow string together a few more wins, we can be right up there with feeling a lot more secure about at least playoffs. And, it's still a long season. I think we're almost a fourth way there. So it's going to be exciting times, man. I just hope that we don't revert back to the old ways. And, Yedlin kind of was on the same page as Phil here. I mean, in his press conference, we thought it important to highlight his, because of it is his return to Seattle. But again, praise the entire team for getting a hard-earned win out of one of the league's biggest and best teams. He was thrilled about how the team was playing, playing on the ball. We reiterated how the team played in their own third, especially at the end when it was, non-stop crosses, and basically dealing with a complete onslaught, which was, again, very, very impressive for the team to stick together here. He also praised Robbie, just like we did. Everything here, just all good feelings. Definitely high praises for Ame, for Damien in the center back pairing, just really being able to finish the game, staying compact, maintaining shape. And again, we already talked about it earlier, but he was absolutely thrilled to be home, mainly because he felt it was just really special for him and his family. He got to see family that he hasn't seen in a long time that lives out in Seattle still. So he got to show his daughter where he grew up. Dan was talking about tearing up about that a little earlier ago, and was getting a lot of questions about the haircut. He went back to the bleached look, which I'm actually a fan of, but he was getting everyone wants to know what the MA on the back of his head stands for, and he wouldn't really share about that. So I assume, just like the gentry across his neck, it's probably something very personal.
Allegedly, it has something to do with a
hold
possible
on, buddy. Sorry.
collab with a clothing.
Sorry, repeat
design.
that one. Go ahead. No, I had to turn it down because you were adjusting your mic, so it's all good.
Oh, no, my fault. Allegedly, it had to do with something, a collaboration with a clothing design with someone close to him, maybe, or something like that. So,
well, he does want to have his own, clothing label, or clothing line, I guess, not label, but maybe these are the kind of early crumbs he's dropping for everyone.
I'll grill him when I track him down at the Union game. I won't let him get on the bus till I figure out what this is all about. And we'll have an Inter Miami exclusive here on the podcast.
All right. No, hey, bring it home for us. That's all right. So, standings, we're finally out of the basement. We're no longer the worst team in the league or the East. We, are now 13th. DC United moved to 14th. So we come up on theirs. 24th out of 28 in the Supporters Shield standings. We share the same record as Cincy and the Revs, but we are behind them on goal differential. Power rankings came out. We're moved up 4 spots, which is good. We're 23. We beat Seattle, and they're still number 1. So I'm not really sure exactly how that works out. You can't just say because Rui Diaz and Rodon and maybe some of their other starters didn't get a full 90 minutes. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's the exact same thing that would happen to us if we were number 1 and lost to number 24 Seattle, though, because we would drop down to 24 magically just out of the blue. So, a little bit of hatred towards Inter Miami, but they're probably looking at the fact that there was a rotated squad. Who knows? They're pinning all their hopes. They're trying to keep the hopes up for a CONCACAF Champions League winner here. So I blame it on that a little bit, too.
Well, like I said, we're at 13th, 7 points. To put that in perspective, going up to 10th place, New York City FC also have 7 points. We go to the playoff line, 7, Chicago is 10, number 6, Montreal is 10, and Toronto has 11 points. So 1 win, we're right up there in the lower end of that, depending on how that goes. But, really 2 or 3 wins here could put us in a really, really beautiful position. But, this wasn't all the soccer we had. We are in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. That meant that we got a Tuesday game, a midweek game down at FIU Stadium, which is West Dade, not the greatest drive for us Broward residents. But, hey, I'll pay my dues because I know a lot of people from Miami don't like driving up to Fort Lauderdale either. But we did take on, Miami FC, man. I don't know, do we call them our little brothers? I feel like we don't even mind Miami FC, but Miami FC is just like that annoying little brother just poking the bear. Like, they want all the smoke.
I've taken the approach of, I didn't see you on my radar, but then you started talking, so now I'm going to keep you on my radar. I called them the noisy neighbors last episode. It's just like United and City back in the day, where City was just nothing. They were chirp, 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 and United had to go put their foot down. It's exactly what we did, my man. It's, jokes aside, hell of a game put up by Miami for the Miami Classico. I guess that's the best we could come up with, is the Miami Classico.
Someone was calling it the Kilo Classico.
The Key Bump Classico. But I digress. It actually had a turnout of 11,000 plus fans for this match. It was a new Miami FC record.
Did you see Inter Miami's response to that?
You're welcome.
Yeah, just they're welcome in the winky face. But hey, it was a beautiful night. A 7 p.m. Game. It's FIU. It's a college stadium. I guess they play football there. I know they're not really known for their football program, but kind of sad as a football stadium, more intimate as a soccer stadium. So it wasn't bad, but game, it was a little rough. We came out with our cup squad, so we kind of did similar to what Seattle did against us. Is we were playing people in slightly different positions. Like Robbie Taylor started on the left wing, not Robbie Robinson. There were a lot of struggles in the game, considering we're the MLS team or whatever. They were coming out with a low block, which was giving us issues to even find a way through. And we had, I think, one good chance in the first half, but nothing really happened until late in the second half. Thank God, because I was sitting there and I was talking with John. I was like, please score, because I don't want to have to stay out. here for another 30 minutes. Then if we go to PKs, like, let's try and wrap this up if we can. And we do off of an incredibly ugly sequence to get to the goal. I will say a nice quick reaction finish by Campana, which we've seen in the past. But man, this ball ping-ponged. I think Robbie Taylor kicked it, hit someone, came back to him, kicked it again, hit another. It was just all over the place and just fell. Really, I think the Miami FC defender was in a more advantageous position, but Campana just came in there, drilled it with his left, put it to the right of the keeper, and we get that. And that win felt good. Just continuing the momentum. A little hard to kind of see everything play out because I was sitting behind the goal. Usually, I sit in the north stands for every single game, basically, with all of the supporters. But I always record the game on, at home on my DVR because it's on local cable. But I didn't record anything on ESPN Plus, so I didn't really get to take a second look with better camera angles. But it definitely was a scrappy game. We struggled. I cracked a joke to Johnny that it's all fun and games until Phil decides to bring in $9 million worth of players and put them in there, and that's basically exactly what happened. We start to see subs coming from all over the place. We see Mota come in for Mo Adams. We saw McVay come in for Noah Allen. We saw Yedlin come in for Jairo Quinteros. Lassiter came in for Bryce Duke, and really started to move things around. And that's when once we brought the big boys in, and then of course we took off Emerson as well for Robbie Robinson. Once we brought the first or the starters, I guess rather, things turned in our fortune. But really not the most pretty of games we've had, but again, just keep the momentum rolling. What did you see on your end with a much better camera angle?
I got to tell you right now, the camera angle was absolute dog shit. I will tell you, in the Discord, we were all going, what the hell is this? At the beginning of the game, the zoom was in and out. And they were trying to track the player, but it was like they were zoomed in still on the player. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't tell where they were on the pitch. And I'm sitting there looking at myself, or looking at my wife going, why did I fire up my PS5 at a 4K TV for this dog and pony show? Like, what the hell is this? But no, jokes aside, I liked what I saw. I knew Miami was going to push us. And I want to go off track real quick. For any of you who have not watched the U.S. Open Cup before, I need you to understand, because there was a lot of hatred out there towards how Inter Miami was playing. This is not a cakewalk. This is not a given that we're going to win this game. There are a lot of folks who have some misconception that, it's Inter Miami. It's an MLS team. They're going to lay down. We're just going to move forward. It's going to be 7-0. No, that's not how this game's played. Ask Columbus, who lost last night. Mm-hmm. Ask Chicago, who lost last night. It's not that simple. So you can't be upset with Phil. Like, I really don't want to hear Phil should have done this, should have done that. That's exactly what this cup brings out in all the teams. It's going to be a rock'em sock'em rowdy fight to the end for the most part. I mean, Cincinnati, not to go on a tangent, Jay, but Cincinnati last night, they were tied going into extra time, and they scored a goal in the 95th and the 99th minute of extra time. So, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, this game's on right now, and they're pretty close. It's crazy. I mean, Charlotte's tied with Greenville right now. I mean, as we say this, New York Red Bulls have a 1-goal lead on, I'm assuming that's Hartford. I'm not really too sure. Minnesota's beating Madison 1-0. Orlando's winning 2-1 against the Rowdies, which could really change at any given time. So these are a lot closer, but you also have to manage your players when you're playing in cups, because you don't want anyone to really get too tired where it's affecting the MLS games here. But yeah, I mean, it was scrappy. Certainly not the most attractive game we'll play, but we didn't fall, and that's the important thing, and we advanced to the next round.
Yeah, the big thing I wanted to say before we got too far into this was, you could see the Inter Miami was trying to push the ball up the field. Mm-hmm. They were trying to make those cuts. They were trying to make the runs. And the coach, I want to say Anthony Pulis. Yep. Pulis, he knew the game plan. he knew what Phil was going to bring to the table. So, all in all, when it was all said and done, it was a beautiful game of football on both sides. Hats off to Miami for having having a great atmosphere, having the fans there. Inter Miami came in and showed that we own every area code of Miami now, not just
South Florida. Yeah.
305.
I got it. I mean, stat wise, we had less possession. Miami FC had 52%. We had 48% shots on goal, fairly even. They had 9 shots, 3 of them being on goal, and Inter Miami had 11 shots, 4 on goals. Fouls, dude, fouls galore. You were telling me an interesting fact that I'm gonna let you restate this, but 11 fouls against Miami FC, 21 for Inter Miami. There were a lot of cards being dished out. We had 4 yellow cards. Inter Miami did. Miami FC only had 2. Damian Lowe did get a red card at the dying moments of the game. But yeah, it seemed like this ref was just on one, calling fouls left and right and then getting really card happy.
Yeah, and it almost seemed like the ref had something to prove out there. Like, hey, this is my moment. I'm not going to stand for any shit. And I think the only reason Lowe got that red card, because if you go back, or if you were able to watch it, Jay, I know you'd be in full agreement with me. He wasn't really in her face that long, complaining about the yellow card on outside the box. And then the tackle, he probably deserved that yellow card. But what you were alluding to, in all 9 games last night, they were played with an MLS team. There was a total of 267 fouls called, averaging just shy. I'm talking like decimal upon decimal upon decimal point, just shy of 30 fouls in each game.
Jeez, that's insane.
The cleanest game was DC United versus, I think it was like Flower City Union, something.
Sure.
Like that.
Sounds about right.
And it was 12 to DC. And well, hey, you say that, but Flower City came on and put on a show against them. DC had to turn it on late, kind of like we did. But DC had 12 fouls and Flower City had 7. That was the cleanest game involving an MLS team last night. So
that's
crazy.
Maybe that's just how this is going to go. I have no idea. I will hopefully not. I'm sure. I would hope it becomes less like that once, it really gets down to the majority of the remaining teams being MLS sides. But who knows, man? Who knows? Interesting one right here. Like St. Louis, right? It's St. Louis too. They're playing Loose City right now. They're 0-0 in the 58th minute. But this is like their first exposure that they're able to get as well before they're officially start in the MLS. So. Exciting stuff, man. And these moments are beautiful because it's like March Madness when you get your little Cinderella, final or Elite 8 run or something like that. Or maybe you get lucky in like the Final Four. But, in this tournament, technically anyone could win. The smallest clubs could win. There's so many divisions that are playing in this. So good times. We are making it to the next round. We'll see who we face off and what the time and day of that match will be. But, hey, man, just some additional footy that we get to enjoy throughout the season. It's always a bonus when you get some additional games. Now, we have to keep this streak rolling. We do have a game coming up here on Sunday. We are playing Atlanta United, and we have had some intense back and forth games, back and forth, results with them. So this is going to be a very, very good time. We actually wanted to bring on a special guest just to do this with us. He is someone that we love and hate because he's a traitor at the same time. But let's see if we can't get him in here real quick. Just going to call on the phone.
Hello.
Yo, buddy.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. So we got Max Ramos on the line. He is the ex-president of the Siege before he upped and packed his bags and moved to Atlanta and started supporting another team because he's just a jerk. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm living the life of a Southern king, my friend.
Where are you right now? Are you out and about? Did I catch you at a surprise time?
I actually just got into Miami for this weekend's beatdown. Very excited for that.
There we go. Well, it's still on site, so the whole pod squad's going to mob you in alley. But we're live on the show right now, not to throw you off guard here. I got Thans with us as well.
Yo.
What's up, Dan boy?
Hey, what's up, boy? You ready to get beat down this week? I know you said you're getting prepped for a beat down. You figured it's going to be us kicking your ass, right?
Calm down. Listen, at least Atlanta is comfortably going to win its U.S. Open Cup game, unlike Miami yesterday that had to eke one out against the Miami Football Club, whatever the hell you want to call them.
Wow, he's switched up. He's just fully switched up. Like I don't even know if he enjoys Inter Miami anymore. I think he just likes to run his mouth and tell us how much better his new team is. And he sends me pictures in jerseys and T-shirts, just flicking me off. I'm like, this fucking guy, man.
I mean, at least he texts you and calls you.
Yeah, just go back to Kentucky. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come
Okay.
on.
Yeah. Okay. Go back to being a Portland fan. All right. Let's get into it. Yeah. Shots fired. You jump around MLS teams like a drunk girl jumps. Not even gonna do it.
Well, nope. We're not gonna do that today.
I'm gonna stop myself right there. But you're playing
Inter
with
Miami podcaster Jay Kingston makes an ass of himself. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, you're playing what? Your 4-string keeper at this point?
Yeah, because let's see, Raguzon's knee is gone. Your old friend Dylan Castellera, he got hurt playing a USL game. So I honestly don't know who the keeper is right now. No one really knows. It's kind of up in the air.
Do you want us to loan you Drake Callender?
Actually, after the performance he had yesterday, I would absolutely love Drake. He actually used to be at Atlanta United, so that would be great for him.
All right. Well, it's just going to be a $5 million one-game loan. We'll see if you guys can make it out. But give everyone an update because we don't really pay too much attention week in and week out to all the intricacies of Atlanta. But since you're now a full-time fanboy of Atlanta, we'll say give us an update of how the season's been going, what kind of positive you're seeing, what kind of hardships you're seeing. And we'll get into what we think is going to happen in this game.
Well, I'll be straight up. It's been a very frustrating season in the sense of like goals are either hard to come by or they come in very weird moments. The team hasn't had, other than its first home game against Kansas City, where it won very comfortably. Every win has been by the shinny chin chin or by a stroke of luck or something at the last minute, something from behind. Or like weird losses, like the weird loss against Charlotte, where like nothing worked. I was there, and it didn't make sense in being there on paper why they lost that game. They lost the game to an Olympical goal from Charlotte, and their terrible fan base and field and all that. That was pretty garbage. Obviously, Joseph Martinez is getting older, so he's not the phenom that he was a few years ago, and his role is becoming a little bit more of a center mid, trying to service out to other players. But that's the problem. Like, who's going to be that goal scorer that the team can rely on? Is it Araujo? Araujo has come in. He's been hurt, but he's scored some his one goal of the year was epic. Then you have Dom Dwyer, who everyone has an opinion on, whatever you want to say about him. He's had his moments of glory. He should have scored more goals, but he scored some good ones, and he seems to have found a place. Yeah, I was actually watching the U.S. Open game, and he actually scored a pretty nice one outside the box against Chattanooga. Gutman is a new signee. He plays a little bit of a winger position, and he's been actually the surprise of the season. Everyone's been very happy with his performance, and people still trying to figure out how to pronounce his name because he's from Scandinavia. And then, all in all, the back line needs help. That's the thing. I'll be honest. I've been thinking about all week. I'm going to be very straight up with y'all about how I think this game is going to go, considering how Miami's been playing, especially with Campagna being the force that he's become. I honestly think that Sunday's game is going to be a 1-1 draw. I do not expect a win from Atlanta. I honestly think it's perfectly placed for a 1-1 draw. So have at it, guys.
Max, I gotta say, based off of you guys losing to Charlotte the way you did, I'm gonna go 5-0 Inter Miami. We're coming with all the smoke. We're gonna get Drake Callender out there for the last goal. He's gonna convert a penalty, and he's gonna hit the Dougie or whatever the cool kids are doing nowadays out there on the field. So
Did you just bring up the Dougie? What year is it? 2011?
They're doing the gritty.
Thank you.
Whatever it is, the McGriddle, I don't give a shit. I'm too old for this.
Should we make a bet then? Should we make a gentleman's bet that if either team wins by 2 or more goals, the other side has to buy a nice bottle of liquor? I think that's the only way to do it. 2 plus goals.
I think we started something like that in Discord, and it went down pretty well. So, I'll agree to that. I got you with that.
All right. This is Stan agreeing with me, right? The gentleman that is Stan, not that heathen Jay Kingston.
Yeah, it's me. I mean, don't worry about Jay Kingston. I'm a stand-up gentleman. I'm good for it.
All right. Awesome. I love it. I'm very excited to see everybody. Listen, if I'm going to get stabbed, make sure to go for the ribs, not for the face. I'm too pretty. Go for the ribs. I'm very excited to see everybody.
There will be
blood.
I'm going 2-1 for the record.
2-1 Atlanta. Awesome. High five.
Never
Great
that,
job,
buddy.
everybody.
Never, dude. You're going to be playing a striker in goal, I think.
At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if I have to be out there playing goalkeeper.
It actually looks like Jesus Shuttlesworth is going to be in goal. No, I'm sorry, Brian Shuttlesworth is going to be in goal for you.
That's right. Yeah, and people have been talking about him. He's got length and he's got height. I don't know much about him. I'll admit.
Was he drafted? Was he new?
I think he's a newer signing.
I think it was super draft.
Yeah, he's from. The only thing I know, he's from Buffalo, New York. That's all I know.
Oh, so he's a fan favorite right there. That upstate New York, Canadian border area. And he's a Stan Harrington favorite. So now we definitely are going to win on Sunday. So very hyped.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not even anything popping up. There's he's nowhere near being famous. You type in his name on Google and it's bringing me to a procurement specialist with the United States District Court. So he's definitely if he cannot beat out a procurement specialist on a Google search, that boy's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you guys are in some dire situations there, friend. That's doesn't look good for you and your squad.
Excuse me, because on the same token, Nick Marsman is not exactly a world beater recently. He has been special, not in a good way.
Nick Marsman's a saint.
I don't know, causing a penalty, trying to scoop up just a pop fly. Pretty fun. Pretty fun.
That wasn't his fault. It was a laser from the stands. It wasn't his fault.
Okay, all right.
So where are you watching the game? Where are your tickets
located? Are already being made. Wait, what?
Where are you sitting? Where are your tickets?
In Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm very excited to be there again.
What section?
I don't know. I don't really
north
think about
or south.
I don't know my directions, man. I haven't been here in a while.
Are you going to be surrounded by a bunch of other people in red jerseys? Particularly on the left side of the south stands.
Listen, people wear River Plate, Arsenal, Man United. So yeah, maybe some red. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm gonna bring some binoculars, and I'm gonna hold them up to my iPhone so I can zoom up on the away section. And if I see you there, you're getting stabbed.
Oh, but I thought that was gonna happen before the game, though. So how are you gonna see me in the stands?
No. Because if we win, I don't have to stab you because the pain is even worse for you in that case.
Oh, okay. Well, I am a Manchester United fan, so Dan can tell you we feel nothing anymore. I don't feel anything. Nothing hurts me.
Nope. Harry Maguire has taken away all of our ability to feel.
Don't say that name. Don't say that name. We're not. Jay, tell me the score of the Chelsea game today. Just remind me.
Oh, dude. You know what? Yeah, we conceded 4 goals, bud, but at least we scored 2. Okay. Tell me what happened with the Liverpool game. Go ahead,
Jay. I want to point out before this continues. I didn't bring up the Chelsea score.
I know. I feel attacked on my own podcast.
I didn't bring it up.
Oh, you've lost control of your own monster, Dr. Frank.
Oh yeah. No, it's its own beast now. It's a beast powered by a robust and often strange engine that I call Discord.
Love it.
The only savior is Stan keeping everyone on track.
Discord is going to be amazing. The Discord on Sunday before we get there is going to be fantastic.
For us, probably not for you. For all of us getting at you in the Discord. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
I thrive off your hatred, so I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
Okay, well, enjoy the TIFO as well, my man. I will see you on Sunday. Look forward to it, man. It's been a long, long time. Last time I saw you, you were in pink. It's gonna be a tough sight for my eyes.
Can't wait, baby. See you Sunday.
Be good, man.
Bye.
All right. Good times. He's kind of getting delusional in his older years, I think here, but let's wrap this one up. What other news is there to discuss?
So, I don't know how you can continue the pod after a Max Ramos special like that. Like, I'm kind of sitting over here floored. But yeah, no, we actually had other football going on throughout the week. The Generation Adidas Cup was going on. For those of you who missed last week's episode, Generation Cup is a culmination of English teams and Mexican teams, and I believe Italy was there Roma was there, and it's all of their academies getting together for the really vanilla way to put it would be like that end of season jamboree your kids have. A culmination into a championship. It's really highly touted tournament. Unfortunately for us, the U15s bowed out in the round of 16. Jay, you always correct me on how to say this. So, Tigres?
Yep, you're good.
Awesome. They lost 2-1, hard fought match. And then the U17s bowed out to, ironically, Seattle right before we played Seattle, and they bowed out 1-0. I know it sounds like a major blow to us, but we actually performed against some of the best academies in the world and outperformed some of the perennial powerhouse academies. So it just shows that we're on the rise. Mm-hmm. We're on the rise.
Yeah, it was good. It was good catching those games, kind of just throughout the week, or at work, just having it on your phone, just to see, where we're going, because that academy is going to be so important. And I think everyone is very confident in where it's headed right now and the early results that we're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I forget who it was, and the Traveler would be able to tell you on Twitter and correct me, but there was one kid in the U17 game. He kept going up the right-hand side, and he was putting the defenders on roller skates. He was cutting, chopping, sidestepping, then boom, he was in the box one step. And it was beautiful,
I can't remember what his name was either, but that kid was killing it. And Denon's got a very bright future, I think, as well. Really interesting. Following up with some additional football on top of that, we did have the next MLS next game, which was against NYCFC 2. Came to that game top of our division, having some pretty solid results in MLS is next, but not this game, man. They got smacked by NYCFC 2 7-0, and then just furthermore off that, NYCFC's first team beat, what was it? I think Real Salt Lake 6-0. So between their first and second teams, they dropped 13 goals and conceded 0. What a hell of a weekend for the reigning MLS Cup champs.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I was just bashing the shit out of Tati in our Discord. Like, yo, he was one-hit wonder. He can't do it. He's done. And then he puts up 4, and I was really quiet on Discord the rest of the night. Yep. I was like, yeah, never mind. Forget it. But getting away from football and looking more at football, Drive Pink Stadium hosted the University of Miami, never heard of those guys before, University of Miami spring football game. It's kind of cool to see the team opening up to other sports teams throughout the area, allowing the use of our beautiful stadium. I didn't partake, didn't read too much into it because I'm not a University of Miami fan.
Who cares?
Yeah, but I guess it was an overall good experience for everybody. The club really enjoyed it.
Go Noles. Go Noles.
Yeah.
I just want to piggyback off this real quick, though. How pissed off do you think the greenskeeper was? Because football can shred a delicate field like a soccer pitch.
Well, all you need to do, if you're not familiar with the game of American football, is go back and look at the highlights from the game against Miami FC. Miami FC very clearly has a football team first and a soccer team second. That turf was ripped up, and that's just turf. As a football player, I can tell you that grass must have been absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
Absolutely tore up.
For sure.
But Jay, do you want to finish off with the best news of the week?
Yeah, amazing news. First time ever, if I'm not mistaken. But and is it? I don't know. I want
to say Lewis might have pulled it off once, but maybe not.
Maybe. Anyway, Leo Campana named the MLS Player of the Week for Week 7. That was the hat trick game, which was just, man, against New England, a team that came here and beat us 5-0 last time, to come up, get a hat trick on them, put away the game, get MLS Player of the Week. Big honors. The following week, Mabika was on the squad. Yeah, man, and we're seeing some talent here. Was that the only? I'm trying to think. Was there anyone else on Team of the Week 6 from Inter?
No, it was Leo, and then it was Ame. So.
Gotcha. Okay, wasn't sure.
Now, what you're probably thinking of was for a point in the MLS fantasy, Lowe and Mabika were the two highest rated CBs. That's probably what you're mistaking yourself with there.
Maybe. Very well. Could be.
As we like to end the podcast, our final section is our beloved OnlyFans, where I get a bunch of degenerates to ask questions to Jay, and he has to answer them. Jay, first question comes from our good friend, James Anderson. James asks, Jay, how, after watching 2 wins in a row, what do you think is our lineup going forward in the season? Do we see any young talent upcoming that might break into the first team?
I would love to see Mabika break into the first team. I think Noah Allen's going to be a part of this team throughout the season. I think Gibbs will probably be dealing with injuries on and off. I would also love for when Ascona is fully healthy to see him integrated in there, because I think he could really add some quality. But as far as lineup, I think you're going to see us coming out in a 4-3-3. I think we're going to be seeing Campana as our center forward. He's going to be flanked by probably the starters being Robbie and Lassiter until maybe later in the season, where Emerson does take over the starting duties from Lassiter. On the midfield, I think it's pretty set right now. You're going to have Robbie Taylor as your left mid. You're going to have Gregory as your center mid / kind of CDM, playing a little bit further. Then you're going to see Gene Mota on the right mid role. Going back, man, to the back line, it's going to have to be Yedlin. It's going to have to be Lowe. Then here's what we're going to see. I think it's probably going to be some back and forth between McVeigh and Mabika. That'll be a fun race to watch. And then that left back spot will be Kieran Gibbs when he's back, unless something serious happens. But I still think that given his age, we're going to be seeing quite a bit of Noah Allen this season. And then knock on wood, nothing happens to Marsman. He will be our keeper. I think that's what we're going to be seeing. Whew. Do you have any differing opinions on that?
I would say you got to add Hundal to your list of young players coming up. And I will reiterate about my boy. We have not seen the last of George Acosta. He needs to put some muscle on that frame, and he knows it. He's working hard towards every time you see a training video from their latest session, he's busting his butt working towards it. So, so next question. March of the David says to Jay, are you starting to believe in the Neville Project?
Oh, I feel like everyone's kind of asking this question. I'm going to have to say yes. Am I sold that we should keep him once the season restrictions are over? We'll have to see the full results of the season, but are we starting to see some progress? Now, how much of that is more on Neville going to the 4-3-3, really trying to utilize the wingers and something that better fits the players that we have, or how much of this is Gonzalo not being present? And when he's on the pitch, there's a different strategy in place to try and get him the ball to finish. And I think Campana is having much better results. And then just a third little 3D chess dimensional piece to consider is it's a new team, and is the chemistry just starting to build? You know, it's tough to really say who is responsible. It's probably bits and pieces of all that. The back line's really coming together. But as far as what's happening right now, outside of individual praise or, maybe overall positions like the midfield or like our back line, then I think the next point of praise would have to be on Phil Neville. And as much smoke as he has gotten from this fan base in the first 5 games, people are a lot more quiet when you're producing wins and not losses. So we'll see how this continues to play out. What are your thoughts?
Long story short, I believe now, because he was able to finally carve out the cancer that was holding the team back. If he comes back and gets a more dominant role again, and I'm talking about Higuain, for those of you who missed the reference here, I don't know if he allows Higuain to come back. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna believe it. But as we stand right now, I still have the unwavering support, like you, that he will get to be able to finish out the rest of the season, and then we'll go from there.
All right, fair enough.
2 more questions for you. Demont525 asks, Jay, how far into the U.S. Open Cup does Inter Miami need to go to be considered a successful run for them?
How many rounds are there? Like, what's the actual
So we're going into the round of 32 coming up next.
Okay, so I think if we make it to the Elite 8, right? Was that the quarterfinals? Yeah, if we can make it to the quarterfinals, absolute win. Absolute 100% successful run for our first ever cup, considering where the team's at, the sanctions, new team, the struggles. That would be an absolute spectacular win. Any further than that, I think we're playing with house money at the time, and anything's possible in this sport. Anything's possible in the MLS. But if we can make it into to the round of 8, I think we'd be pretty damn good.
I'll peel it back one, and I'll say Sweet 16, just based off where we started, based off of the thoughts of the U.S. Open Cup, and the fan base wasn't quite sure how the team was going to go after this. If we make the Sweet 16, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We can hang our hat on that. I mean, I know it sounds campy to say something like that, but we can hang our hat on that. We did that with an 0-5 start, or not 0-5, but you know what I mean. Terrible start. Mm-hmm. And then anything else after that, awesome. It just builds up. It just is going to allow the team to build and, be able to gel more together.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that as well. Like, I would not be upset by any means if they make it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great.
As long as we didn't lose our first game, then, where we are right now, I'm taking that.
Building on top of that, B. Griff asks, Jay, do you think we are capable of a deep run into the U.S. Open Cup? So you don't have to answer that because we already kind of discussed it. If so, do we forsake the MLS season for a chance at winning that coveted Champions League spot?
Do we forsake the season? I'm assuming, playing all our starters all the way through and making the season our secondary?
I would say focusing more on the U.S. Open Cup games when they come around on the schedule and resting our starters before.
Okay. Well, because the MLS season's so long and you really only have to be in the top 7 to make the playoffs, I guess it depends on where we are. Like right now we're sitting 13th. If we stay in this position and we've got an opportunity to make a run in a tournament and potentially win a tournament, get our first piece of real hardware, because the Coastal Carolina Cup Challenge of preseason, we technically won that, but that's not something we're going to brag about. But if we have the chance, our 3rd season to win the U.S. Open Cup, then I think that should be all of our focus. If we miss the playoffs and win the Cup, I don't think people are going to be as upset with Phil as if we didn't. I would be so ecstatic for that. And if we can, somehow get the CCL spot by winning that, then that would be absolutely phenomenal. But I don't think it has to be one or the other because the season's so long. I think we could focus on that and then recover at the end of the season and try and sneak into the playoff spots. Because, it's cool. Like a 1 seed's great, but you still got a fair shot as the 7th seed.
I would say for us, if we start to get closer to that threshold that you and I talked about, Sweet 16, Elite 8 or whatever, we start to take a very serious look at what the schedule looks like and start maybe shifting our ambitions to focusing on that cup run. Could you imagine after all of this? Again, I know it's almost like dreaming of winning the lottery, but after how this season started, hey boys, we're in the Champions League. You know what I mean? Like, it would be wild.
Where does that focus shift for you? Like, what would that be? Does that focus shift to the Open Cup in the Sweet 16, or is that more of a, you know, that Elite 8, right?
If we beat whoever we play in the Sweet 16, that's when it shifts. Like, hey, we have a real shot. Let's go.
Agreed. Okay. Very good. Very
good. All right. Well, that's the last of the questions, but I do have something I'm being held to here, and I got to say it. And if I don't say it, I know our Discord family community is going to be extremely upset. And I've been struggling with the fact that I had to say this all day. I owe Drake Callender an apology. God, I can't believe I'm saying that. You know, Drake, if you listen, which I know you don't, because you would have called me out on my bullshit by now. But you know, he played well. He played well. He kept us in that game. He kept that dream of Champions League alive, and it's one of those things, like right now, like I can't even look at you as we're talking, because I'm kind of like, I don't want to admit that I'm saying it.
Yeah, because I didn't know this was happening. This is a complete surprise to me as well. But yeah, man, I mean, for someone who's so adamant about something and just then having to just turn around and eat his words, man. This is my cheeks are hurting because I'm smiling so much right now, and that's genuine. Yeah,
this is everybody, and you know, they are not innocent in this whatsoever, but of course, being a co-host of a podcast, and you know, it's written in the histories forever that I was the ultimate trash talker of Drake. You know, I gotta say, he came through when we needed him. I'm sorry, Drake Callender, you are a goalkeeper, you are doing well, and I'm sorry. Jay, you're gonna have to take us out on this one, because I'm a little sick to my stomach.
Excellent. That's a heartfelt apology, and I've already said it so many times on the show, but it's a very long season, so there are many days ahead of you for you and Drake to work on rekindling your friendship and your trust and his respect of you. Okay, but thanks.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Inter Miami podcast. If you don't already, check us out on social media, on Twitter at Inter MIA podcast, on Instagram at Inter Miami podcast. Discord grows literally every single day. People are joining. A couple hundred in there, really active. DM us, get at us if you want to get in that Discord. Nonstop talk, but as we end every single episode, Ramos, Miami.
Vamos, Drake Callender and Miami.